This was supposed to be my valedictorian speech, but due to its length, I had to rewrite it. This is the final edit of Leah. Please enjoy. Dear Leah, I realize you're just an infant right now, but I have quite a lot to say to you when you grow up. As I type this on my Android with a few small cracks on the screen protector in our small living room, I see you exploring the world, cultivating curated just for you in my peripheral, making a funny guttural noise currently. Something like, ah, ah. Let me preface this by saying I admire you. Yes, I admire an infant who barely has precious life experience that's valuable for resumes. You're currently an infant that taught me the value of living. You see, even when you grow up, it's imperative to never lose sight of what it's like to perceive the world as a child. The habits people seem to be children at heart to me. And honestly speaking, viewing the world vicariously through your eyes throughout my junior and senior years showed me even more important life lessons. It wasn't education, but rather knowledge. Both are important, but knowledge is left unprioritized after the average daily educational pursuit. Firstly, you taught me that curiosity is the rawest form of creativity. Curiosity motivates you daily, Leah. Whenever you don't get what you want, use that intelligent infant brain of yours to think of a solution. What comes to mind is you crawling past me or our parents when we block you from walking into the kitchen. Right now you're saying, ah, in a high-pitched voice. Your curiosity allows you to experiment with your vocal range. One of my favorite things to do with you is to make this guttural ah noise as you try to find the source while mimicking it. You're an infantile scientist with your sensory motor stage. You're always curious and willing to explore. You're open-minded, one of the best traits a human being could have because it gives you hope that you could appreciate and develop other positive traits, identities, and cultures in due time. You also taught me how impressionable human beings are. There's this famous experiment by Albert Bandura where children were exposed to either violence or kindness towards a Bobo doll. The result of the experiment was that the children mimic what they witness. You can imagine my fear when I was watching a Scott the Woz video and he was punched in the face for a joke. You laughed. I value your entertainment, Leah, but I will not surround you with violence that you can't process at face value. I turned the TV off right after that. I imagine former President Obama gave him National Medal of Science for that. It's funny though. The only time I was successful in putting you to sleep was when we were watching a Scott the Woz video about video game adaptations of board games together. Maybe I shouldn't push my nerd interest on you. Sorry about making the first non-nursery rhyme song I ever heard in my world by Mike. He's a rapper based in New York, and I thought I should surround you with a culture that promotes love and pride in one's identity while also dealing with tough subjects like facing depression instead of ignoring them. Mike offered what I needed at that time when I was growing up through the artistic medium of his lyricism, confidence in my identity. That's something they don't teach you at school. You gotta teach yourself about identity and confidence. So I thought I could give you a head start. See, Leo, I'm transgender. You may or may not be LGBTQ plus when you grow up, but in case you are, I will support you with all the way. I did all the heavy lifting for our family just in case there are people who are LGBTQ plus like me. It was a tough battle to convince them that I am not the enemy, but rather an ally in this battle for feeling loved. I had to show our parents the extent of the psychological damage done to me instead of holding up in the computer room and confiding in online friends. They eventually sympathized with my position, and I'm grateful they've become much kinder people. You were and still are one of my main motivations to get better, Leah. Sometimes it's your childishness giving me life. Sometimes it's the curiosity of what type of person you blossom into. But I know I'll never let myself die when I have you and all my friends and family to live for. There's this manga I'm reading called One Piece. Maybe when you experience and understand this letter, Oda will finally let the Straw Hats discover what the One Piece is. I used to watch funny moment compilations from the anime with you, and you used to laugh when Chopper ate cotton candy. I also took pride in how Kiko Nojo from the Wano art is canonically transformed like me. I relate a lot to Nico Robin from that series. She's similarly depressed, but there's a scene when all her friends come over to save her from the world government's capture. Luffy, the protagonist, may say that she wanted to live before they waged a war with those who captured her. You're my Luffy in that regard. You, an infant. That's why headcanon Nico Robin be Guyanese just like us. I personally relate to her. Not many people know where Guyana is, or what Guyana is. Not even you, Leah, but you're an infant right now, and those who I can have a conversation with are not. Who remember Guyana for the Jonestown massacre, but never anything positive like how the Guyanese Shimron Hetmeyer is the youngest cricket player to ever score 100 runs in Caribbean Premier League history. I don't understand why people love sports so much. The pride of having people that represent your identity shine in. I also understand why our father loves watching cricket every summer. Cricket grew on me thanks to him. Yeah, when people look at me, do you know what they thought I was? Indian. Can you believe that? Not Guyanese, Indian. I make such a big deal about this because when I was young, I was bullied due to my Indian heritage. It got to me so much that I refused to associate with Indian culture. I loathed that part of me to such a violent extent. But now I'm proud to say I have Indian heritage. I'm proud of all parts of me. Afro-Guyanese poet Jean Agard is proud of his culture and its multiple ethnicities too. That's why he writes in Creole. and that's why I know how to read it. But I never want you to get to that point of self-loathing, Leah. I want you to love your eclectic blood and to understand how they all got to Guyana. I want you to confine the story to Windrush, the Caribbean people who went to the UK for job opportunities and hopes for more prosperous lives. I find myself relating more to their stories than the Caribbean people in America for some reason. For example, Goya Gumbani is a rapper who's parts Guyanese, Jamaican, and English. He gives me pride in my identity because he's truthfully himself, and was never taught about the Windows generation through education, but rather through my knowledge of contemporary underground music. John Agard wrote Checking Out Me History due to this phenomenon somewhat. Kambu, K-A-M-B-U, for teaching me about the Windrush generation and allowing me to celebrate along with him. And thank Loyal Carner for pointing me on to John Agard. Leah, you can learn a lot from being in the wrong places. I quote Mike Sapari Park there, since abstract rappers are to me the philosophers of the Greco-Roman age. Never let people quench your curiosity and chain you down to closed-minded thinking. I learned a lot from my formerly confused stance on religion by thinking about a game I cherished since childhood, The Binding of Isaac. I've always appreciated Edwin McMillan's uses of biblical and satanic imagery to portray Isaac's, a child's, own confliction on Christianity due to his abusive mother's infatuation with the Bible. It's a wide-scale representation of a diverse biblical culture. It's up to you to choose which route you'd like to take on that perilous journey. I've known about this game ever since I was 7 due to me being a Gen Z child with immigrant parents who didn't know the implications of the wrong places yet when it comes to the internet. Although I lost my innocence due to all the things I witnessed online, I'm grateful I discovered that game. I always supported Isaac in my mind when he experimented with his identity by wearing dresses. I wish I could have done the same in the back of my mind, but I was too afraid to even ask back then. Still, the seed planted itself for a more open mind. It was a valuable investment. I'm grateful for everyone who worked on the Binding of Isaac for helping me come to my personal conclusion of what religion really is. Philosophy is moral and spiritual obligation. I commend those who follow religion as well as those who don't. I grew up Hindu and you will too, but I personally am more inspired by the philosophies and mythologies of religions rather than their organized nature. You should decide what you'd like to follow too, Leah. Don't be indoctrinated blindly, but rather illuminated, as God intended. And speaking of blindness, there's a certain character who wears a blindfold in the Binding of Isaac. Her name is Lilith, and she's one of the personas that Isaac puts on to protect himself from what lies in the depth. I chose to name myself Lilith, although I looked more like how evil is portrayed due to how she loves her children as a mother. You're not my demonic spawn, but I love you all the same, Leah. I'll never hurt a child despite what was said about me. I also named myself Lilith in spite of those who says that I'm saintly, because I know I'm not. I was compared to Jesus before, but I'm nowhere near the savior he is. I call myself a demoness to cope, and I had to conquer my savior complex in the hospital due to how I cared about everything, but I realized that humans can only save themselves. This is not a bad thing though, Leah. I'll explain to you why. Please be patient with me though. Once upon a time, there was a certain teacher who I had who used to be a paramedic. You may be familiar with paramedics due to the two instances you watched them escort me into the ambulance due to. Well, I think you can piece it together someday when you experience quite a bit of negativity yourself. The only difference is that I'll be there to support you through it. All you have to know is that paramedics are kind people who care about getting people to the places they need to be safely. Well, one day, he was fed up with how nobody was listening to him, so he posted instructions on Google Classroom. I felt concerned due to how abrupt he was with his actions, so I tried to support him as best as I can with a student. We had a wonderful conversation, Leah. I felt like an adult talking to a fellow adult about life and stuff. A healthy conversation with an adult. Isn't that wonderful? But particularly, we talked about life through science. Since he's a teacher, his role is to teach. However, he goes above and beyond in his role as he caters to students' diverse needs and wants when it comes to the concepts learned in his classes. He showed me these Google slide decks filled with customized goals for every type of student. His own goal was to make a curriculum that is self-serving and autonomous, a curriculum where you're given options instead of a single choice. His role in this learning environment is to elaborate upon what was written for the student rather than to commit to the one-size-fits-all style of teaching prevalent since the 1940s made to pump out factory workers like in a factory of itself. His style of teaching feels humane to me, a proverbial breath of fresh air, and I feel respected due to how he treats me like a capable young adult rather than an impressionable baby. He, however, was perplexed about how he wasn't respected as a teacher when he wanted to give directions. He expects a lot from us, Leah. Not too much, but a lot. And sometimes I suppose like people couldn't help but to underachieve due to external factors, systemic factors too, and systemic factors are often internalized. He once told a student to watch their language since they cursed, but I was confused since he himself cursed during our mature grown-up conversation. I instantly asked him why he had an issue with students cursing, since I trusted he would treat my inquiry seriously. He established the idea that cursing watered down to pigeonholes complex emotions into unelaborated anger, and is therefore what is said is belittled. He referenced South Park in class before, so I shall do the same. His reasoning reminded me of that one episode where the characters cursed so much his words lost their potency and shock value. I agreed wholeheartedly. That's further reasoning for me not to curse unless the words align with my feelings. On a pursuit to be respected, he asked me what he could do as a teacher. I gave him an honest response from my personal experience. I followed the golden rule: treat others how you want to be treated. The problem with that ideology is that not everyone wants to follow the golden rule. Either that or some people self loathe even more than I do. He then opened up the conversation to the rest of the class. I was elated to hear my peers' responses sound so mature. People I grew up with at school. Some of them even since kindergarten. I'm so proud of them and all their developments. I still remember that teacher's ultimatum of either escaping the pen or being a sheep with a nail in his forehead. I wonder how many times it would take for these nails to transform me into a goat. Oh, and I wonder if those nails happen to be 9 inches. Our teacher is still pondering what he could do to further accommodate for his students, so he told us about his upbringing. I do not like to tell other people's stories, but I will say that this teacher's story of rough upbringings and family trauma reminded me of our late cousin, part of our family trauma. Our late cousin was brilliant, but he misused and neglected his knowledge and education and fell under a lonely downward spiral of drug abuse. He was a classic salutatorian. He compared himself to Itachi from Naruto. Our family compared me to my cousin because of our intelligence and our similar facial features, but I'm not him. I'm not anybody but me. This science teacher inspired me to succeed. I chose to listen to him and take his words to heart. I generally believe that his teachers are roses that grew from concrete. Roses that grow from concrete had the option to use their thorns, but are now used as articulate defense mechanisms. I wish I could have more of his classes. The point I'm saying is that this teacher has integrity. To me, he's the Michael Jr. of high school teachers, and that's a good thing. Integrity is the highest compliment someone can achieve, according to my 8th grade English teacher, and she gave that honor to me. So now I'm giving it to him as a thank you for what he's taught me about life through science. I relate a lot to Ayumi Shinozaki from Corpse Party, and a huge part of her character is her strong bond with her teacher, Miss Yui. Ayumi asked Miss Yui for advice and whatnot for her graphic design career, and although I'm not a visual arts type of gal, I am the literary arts. My science teacher and I attended performing arts school, after all, so we must find value in art somewhat at least, right? I wish for him to be my Miss Yui, if that makes sense. I yearn for a strong teacher-to-student bond, and I look up to him as Ayumi does Miss Yui. I want to teach people life through poetry. Isn't that just excellent? Pretending to do an air guitar solo like in Bill and Ted, the cross-generational music appreciators I adore. And he also said to me that he likes reading when I told him that I would be writing about a mature adult grown-up conversation. I'm a class rep, and I was the president of our National Honor Society, but we are both prone to mental breakdowns, so we need extra support to stay strong and commit to our role model duties. Oh, and also in this universe, heavenly hosts never happen, so no one dies. Speaking of Amy, she tried to save a student from dropping out by helping them realize what high school has to offer for the future they would have otherwise given up on. She succeeded, but I failed. For 3.5 long school years, this person kept on hurting my psyche when I thought that they wanted help. However, I learned my lesson about my savior complex. Consequence is that I adore and listen to Nine Inch Nails to cope. I call my work ethic my pretty hate machine. Ken the Petalion from Homestuck, or Alaire de Sylvia Plath, who is dead by the way, while listening to Have a Knife Life's Destino demo from Voids, a beautifully dark 13 minutes long made by Connecticutans on loop, and I'm medicated for psychosis after 2 stays at the behavioral health unit. They correctly called me a psycho way back when. Especially in a condescending way too. Please familiarize yourself with these types of people so you can avoid them, Leah. They are not good role models. They hurt people because they are hurt inside too. I like to call these people ruiners, like the Nine Inch Nails song. Unlike the ruiners, however, peaceful people like me refuse to take their anger out on other people. They channel it through expressive outlets. That is why Kid Cudi, Trent Reznor, and Sylvia Plath never murdered anybody, I think. They're peaceful, not ruiners. If you happen to befriend a ruiner like I did, I recommend you to listen to Too Bad I Have to Destroy by Kid Cudi, Only by Nine Inch Nails, and to read Mad Girl's Love Song by Sylvia Plath. They're all consoling and comforting to me, also known as good art. Then proceed to cut out ties with them. The sooner you do it, the happier you'll be in the future. That being said, I'm not very happy at all. I forgave this person, they've changed, but this doesn't excuse their actions. Art can save lives through inspiration, and inspiration is what motivates people to live. If you're inspired enough, you can give your life meaning, or rather purpose. Purpose and meaning have a bit of nuance between them. One is active, one is passive. One is a label, the other is motivation. One is given environment like the Quincy's from Bleach, while the other is made from within like the Soul Reapers from Bleach. It's up to you to decide which is which. While in the hospital for the second time due to the psychosis I developed, I had to swallow not only the antipsychotics, but also the pill that I'd missing out on going to the Connecticut Drama Association to do lights for my school's production of Lilith Crossing, as well as collecting money for protectors of the animal shelter in East Hartford for a National Honor Society. I really wanted to help out with those things, but my mind was ordered to psychosis in order to cope with all the stress that's attacking me all at once. All of these people I care about had confidence in me, but I rarely have confidence in myself and my abilities. Voices in my head emulated a trust others had in me, but I didn't. It is thanks to the professionals of the Behavioral Health Unit for Adolescents at Rockville General Hospital, as well as the staff at CCMC, that I'm somewhat sane again. And it is thanks to the staff at Kinsella High School for accommodating me and my needs during this incredibly debilitating time. These people's jobs are to help people, Leah. That's why I'm going to college to get a degree in psychology. I want to help people too, but I need to help myself first. When I came home from the behavioral health unit for the second time now, I felt like how you were at the time of writing, Leah, a baby. I need comfort. I need to relearn all these environments. I need support. I'm proud to say our parents gave that to both of us. I can say from experience that it was hard to interpret our love as such, but they really do love us, just in ways that we often leave unappreciated due to how often we take them for granted. Sometimes in ways that don't cater to some of our other needs, like personal identity. Still, I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for our parents. Neither would you, Leah. Even if they don't understand you, please cherish them, Leah. Don't be like me and suffer and deceive confliction trying to guess if they love me or not for years and years. They love you, so they teach you valuable lessons. They love you, so they should accept you. They love you, so they should listen. Sometimes it's tough for them to listen, but I did the heavy lifting for you. Now they love me for me. That's the time they're on. Says a Viva reference, sorry. There's a clock in our living room with family photos surrounding it. I accidentally broke the old one while fixing the time. Now it's stronger than ever in our hearts. And I can say I love my mom and dad without having any shame in my heart. It took mutual patience and understanding to get to this point, though. There's a whole era of my life where I hid in my room and refused to eat and drink. You miss me a lot, I could tell. I listened to Black Craze discography in order to cope. Came out of my room enlightened due to the power of honest, true to self artistry. Black Craze is my favorite rapper due to how he's fiercely himself despite those in the environment who could judge him. He's not afraid to admit he cries, or that he's into goth culture too. Because he's himself, he makes waves and influences on the culture on such a widespread scale that he can be fooled into thinking he's copying someone else. He and Lil B are the fathers of the modern rap scene. It's a shame not too many people are aware of that. They're often made fun of for being themselves. That's why I believe that confidence is important, Leah. Without it, nobody's precious ideas would be expressed while they are alive. That's why I reference Black Crane in my yearbook quote. It was a thank you message to Black Crane for how it inspired me not to only live with songs like Princess Cuts My Wrist and Seven Roses, but to shine. That's shine with a Y, by the way. Black Crane fans would understand. I think you would eventually get it instead of brushing him off as a trash artist. A whole bunch of his fans agree with me, by the way. I witnessed their appreciation firsthand when I shared my vignette about Black Crayon and Last FM. I felt the love and support from a whole bunch of people, and we are united by the threads of depression that envelop us. But still, we're all born to win when we're true selves, just like the Sick Boy Rari song. And we could change for the better. Change is powerful, and so is exploring what things mean. You seem to like exploring, Leah. Today I watched you climb up a house's stairs with our father ready to catch you if you tripped, but you didn't because you were strong. You were inspired by your mother being up there. I wonder what else would motivate people to climb upstairs so diligently. While you're thinking of that, however, I'd like to tell you about some of my friends. So, there's this game called Yume Tuki, right? My online friend from California, Chloe, put me on it on the summer of 2022. One of the worst periods of my life if it weren't for them. Their internet label friends like Kawaii Goons and my other friends both in real life and online. I think you should listen to Kawaii Goons for an indie musical output, Bappy. Kawaii Goons put me on to the value of silliness and having fun in daily life. Chloe also got me into artists like Mike, so I'm glad they helped me realize the power that music has in the human condition. And it's thanks to that feeling of belongingness that I'm here today. It introduced me not only to a new game I cherish and adore with all my heart, but a new friend group in the form of server regulars. I met new friends like my ride or die Lucy and a friend who I look up to for how much integrity she has, Larissa. While playing 2K at school, I had nothing else to do. My real life friends knows that about me, and I'm grateful they could physically support me at school. Physically showing emotional support is overlooked when it comes to consoling and confiding people. I even showed my best friend, Emily Yumetuki. We've been best friends for 4 years now. I met through an online casting call with the Super Paper Mario musical that fell through. It was a childhood favorite between the both of us. Throughout the years, Emily has been nothing less than supportive of me in my struggles. She helped rebuild me from the mess that the narcissist made of me. She helped me reclaim what I thought I had lost, my humanity. I am grateful for all my friends, and art is what connects us together. That is why Chloe and I have a Last FM account. We socialize, bond, and heal over music. That is how I met Mabel. She lives in New Zealand, and we're the Strawberry Switchblade music appreciators. I would say black dresses, but I never listened to them, so sorry. think that you will also make fantastic friends who you will cherish both in real life and online. This duality is something to celebrate rather than be ashamed of. Shame is more and more useless the more you grow up, I realized, and locks you in and make you think. Having pride makes you more motivated to better yourself. Well, not in excessive amounts, but like a normal amount of pride. Like, but also being humble is a good thing too. But like, you have to give and take, you know. But anyways, that's the difference between me and the person who fooled me to think that they were my friend when they're actually a narcissist. I also hope and pray that you can conquer the setbacks people can place ahead of you, unlike me. I'm not the perfect role model, Leah. Nobody is, in all honesty. J. Cole knows that too. That is why he believes and respects the choice of how people can only save themselves according to his hit song No Role Models. Nobody can save you but yourself. That is why you need to trust yourself and be not afraid, like how the biblical angels suggest. Fear controls people. Fear is a weapon of mass destruction. One that makes you not want to live life and make mistakes that would teach you more about what life truly is, unfair and unjust, but truthful, somewhat at least. Living life gives art more and more integrity, and we confide in it whether we do so knowingly or not. It's everywhere. Art is meant to comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. Mexican American poet Zad A. Cruz said that truthful quote. Would you like to know how I came across it? The comment section of David First's Salad Finger compilation. It's stuck with me ever since I was an 8-year-old on my iPad. Having the internet at your fingertips is a blessing and a curse. I hope you will harness its power wisely, Leah. I see how easy it is to indoctrinate you with flashy colors on a screen. I worry for you. I don't want you to grow up addicted to technology because of the lack of things to do in the real world like me. Yet when I say I really want you to find some balance in your life, like how I'm trying to myself. Every human being is born with options no matter how minuscule, Leah. That's what I like to believe. Nobody can take the fundamental option away. They tried to with our ancestors through indentured servitude and slavery, but they couldn't. We could escape. Sometimes you have to think outside the box to find more options. But anyways, you chose to live life every single day, Leah. You still choose it. And miss every time you fall. You never fear getting back up again and rejoicing in life. Because you don't fear learning. You're strong, Leah. Wary but strong. Choosing has more meaning than being forced to do something. It means that you put thought into your decision and your option has personal appeal. That is why I'm going to UConn. I'm going to UConn because I want to. Search Tankian if system went down was right. I want to! Oh, and because I was only able to visit their campus in person due to this opportunity that school gave me, and because I remembered that they accommodated trans students' housing. Leah, the truth about life is that while we have some options, we don't have all of them. The Harvard Promise Scholarship opened my options a lot when it came to college. I'm grateful for them for influencing me to choose UConn. Nonetheless, life is unfair at its core, but we have to make it work. The COVID-19 epidemic has changed the world we navigate in today permanently. I don't understand the scope of how detrimental COVID was to our society fully, but I do know that for certain that the class of 2023's sophomore and junior years are spent in confusion and peril, and that you were born in the middle of it. I go to a performing arts school, and in school's plays and musicals were unable to have audiences. Our school's production of Eurydice was canceled due to the pandemic. Furthermore, lots of instruction taught online left the gaps in students' understanding of subjects. We lost high school's trademark socialization during the pandemic. It was without the doubt that the pandemic made me and so many others socially anxious. In our junior year, we had to wear masks and practice social distancing. We dapped each other up with our shoes. We tried to make the most of a bleak situation, and we succeeded. Life is unfair, but still possible to succeed, especially if you have a strong support system. It isn't selfish to take care of yourself if other people care about us. My support system cares about me, and your support system cares about you. And as a member of your support system, I choose to be alive for you, and all my family who love me, and all my friends that love me. So instead of just being alive, I want you to choose to be alive every day, Leah. You can choose to be alive. It's much more meaningful than just being alive. It's the difference between surviving and living. Well, I wouldn't use the word wasted, but I used a lot of my time surviving on the internet and by being in the wrong places. But I made it work. I made opportunities for myself to learn about life, and I applied them to this letter in the hopes that someday you can too appreciate my life in your own ways. Appreciate your life in your own ways. I want you to experiment and learn from your mistakes. Even if chunks of cardboard, tinfoil, and even wood. Someday you will learn why we don't do that, and one day I want you to choose not to do that. You are intelligent not due to your race, but because you're a human being. And I want you to choose to live, not survive every single day. I cannot save you, but let me be a part of your inspiration to live. That is my choice, and I want my choice to be yours too. But at the end of the day, it's you that chooses. The choice is yours, Leah. The koishi komeji to my satori komeji, the monoko to my monoe. Power is in that infantile heart, and this pretty hate machine chooses to spread love instead of hate for you. If you make a wrong decision, wish you well, and there's no shame in that, please learn from it and don't let anyone shame you for taking the wrong path. Show them why they're foolish. Show them why you're you. Choose to be yourself. Not me, not our parents. Be Leah. Be you. So transpose or stop your lies. Chino Moreno sang that lyric in Steptones' Pink Maggot. I think you can find this just like how I did when I was in high school. 'Cause back in school, we were the leaders of all. I don't know how the end of that goes, but it went something like that. Machine beats for you, Leah, and it sounds like a heart. I thought it was evil, but turned to be humane despite its inorganic nature. Because like Nepeta from Homestuck, I'm a rogue of heart. And like Trafalgar Law from One Piece as well, I stole all these hearts, or rather identities, for you to understand and appreciate them like how I do. Because to this day, I'm still trying to find a heart that belongs to me. But all I could do was hear Machine's cries from my chest. So until then, I should call myself the pretty gothic hate machine transgender cat poetess and grow apart from Harvard, Lilith Rampertab. I'd like to imagine that my heart is still a child's because that's what motivates me to live, to be like you. And because I'm selfish, I thank you for existing and giving me a purpose to live. I've loved you ever since February 10th, 2022, one of the happiest days of my life. Just by being born, you taught me how to live. So now I have two babies to live for, you and our big brother who I never had a chance to live, Alex. I chose to live for you two, this rainbow baby whose tears are colored. She cries for her brethren, and I chose to protect you, and I still choose to protect you. So I wrote this letter to the future, you. You mean everything to me, Leah. You gave me the second chance I thought I would never have. I fight these other demons off for you, because I am Lilith, the demoness who loves children, and I am who I am to protect you from the familiar faces who made me me. So you can live the way that you choose, for to choose is to have power over yourself. I love you, always have, always will, since February 10th, 2022. If you go even further than that, the day of conception, but I don't remember that. But nonetheless, never let anyone, even myself, convince you otherwise that I love you. Because at least this version of me does. I'm not sure about future me, but I doubt that will change. I have faith it won't change, because I love you. I can't imagine not loving you. Imagine a world where I can't love you. That'd be stupid. Anyways, you know yourself best. Choose to protect yourself so nobody else has to. Only you can save yourself, because you are strong. Children at heart are strong, and there's solidarity to be found, in friends, family, and humanity. I have accompanied humans who won't discriminate against me in my blazing solo, and I hope that you will find connections with your fellow humans too, Leah. And someday you can build up your own identity, because only you can choose your identity, nobody else but you, because you are powerful. Even in infantile form, you are powerful. I cannot wait to see you grow up, so please cherish childhood. Couldn't, so I'm living every day as consolation, because I'm an irrational child at heart, and I made my valedictorian speech this letter to my little sister. I wouldn't have it any other way. I chose this. You aren't my savior, but you inspire me to live every day, Leah. And now we're free man weaving like injury reserve. You, me, and our big brother Alex. May he rest in peace. Sincerely from the depths of a warm place, Lilith Rampertab. Cecily XOXO.